Assistant Professor of NB Mehta Science College, Poti. I am here to discuss about Introduction to Green Computing Technologies. Today, everyone is responsible for the environment. Nowadays, each and every person requires PCs, mobile, laptops, and so on. Anyone is there who can say, I can live without these digital devices? No, right? Do we ever think how much energy consumed by these devices, or how much electricity or e-waste generated by these devices, which affects our environment? We never think. So it's a time where we have to think and we have to live with these devices in a way which makes them eco-friendlier to the environment. But how? By using green IT, by learning green computing. Now the question raised in your mind is, what is green computing then? A computer painted with a green color, or a computer screen which displays something in a green? It's not like that. Therefore, to clear your all doubts and to learn green computing, today we are going to discuss the concepts of the green computing. In which we are going to see what is green computing, history behind green computing, causes of green computing, carbon footprint and e-waste, 3 Rs of green IT, greenwashing, green IT standards, green computing approaches, implementation of green computing, and finally, the conclusion. First of all, what is green computing? Green computing is the environmentally responsible and eco-friendly use of computers and their resources. It is the study of designing, manufacturing, using, and disposing of computing devices in such a way that reduce the environmental impact. So basically, green computing means using your electronic devices which has the minimal impact on the environment. Now, it is an emerging concept that reducing the hazardous materials and saving our environment by the harmful impact which is generated by our computers, printers, laptops, and other electronic devices. So, this concept, green computing, is basically concerned with the triple bottom line. What is this triple bottom line? That is the people, the planet, and the profit. Now, how? For example, Mr. John is working in a particular industry where they are saving their all data in the paper format. Here, paper format in the sense they are using papers to save their data of the company. Means they are using any documents or files to save their data. Now we all know this day by day, this data is increasing. So you require the more space to store this entire data. Now suppose any of the file is missing or any of the file is stolen, or you can say any of the industry disaster happen like electric shock or anything. In such kind of scenario, there is a higher chances that you will lose the entire data. Now, how will retrieve this data? Because there is no backup as well. So what to do? By preventing or to prevent this kind of situation, we can use the green computing. How? See, the first benefit is goes to the people. Instead of saving your document onto the paper, you can save your document by using your desktop or laptop computers. So the people workload will be less. People can easily store the data on the computer. However, if the people need any kind of the data, they want to retrieve some of the data, then they can easily retrieve this by just going to that particular location where they save this data. Now, the third thing is people can also have the backup for their data. So if any uh, things happen, suppose any of the data is lost, then you can just use your next backup, which you are already having. So this is the first benefit of the green IT. The second benefit is goes to the planet. As you will store your data to the computer, the use of the paper will be less. As the use of the paper will be less, so the cutting of tree will be less, which is definitely helps our environment. So this is also helpful for the environment. And the third thing, that is profit. As you are going to use the paper less, so the cost of purchasing the paper will be less, which is beneficial for the organization. So green computing is not only helpful for the people, but it's also helpful for the environment. It's also helpful for the humans. So green computing is nothing but using your electronic gadgets in such a way which has the less impact on the environment, as well as it is beneficial for the organization in the meaning of the when the matter of the cost reduction. Now, what is the history behind this green computing? In 1992, the US Environmental Protection Agency launched the Energy Star. The first manifestation of the green computing movement was the launch of this Energy Star program. Energy Star served as a kind of voluntary label awarded to the computing products that succeed in minimizing use of energy while maximizing the efficiency. Now, Energy Star is appointed to the devices, or you can say appointed to the devices like computers, laptops, your television sets, and the temperature control devices like refrigerator, air conditioners, and similar kind of items. The term green computing was coined shortly after the Energy Star began. When the Energy Star launched, after the concept of the green computing was came to the picture. Causes of green computing. Now, what are the causes of this green computing? What is the need of green computing? Or you can say why we require this green computing. So first is lot of electricity is used. Most of our the natural resources are being used to get the electricity, which all have some minimum impact on the environment. Now here you can see some of the digital devices. For example, desktop computer, laptop computers, mobile phones, fans, electric cars, electric motors, electric watch, refrigerator, and so on. These all digital devices require electricity to operate. Now we don't even think when we are using the electricity, right? For example, when we are in the room, we are habitual to use the light and fans. That's quite obvious. But it's happened many times that when we left the room, we forget to turn off the light and fans. We are thinking that this is a very basic thing, but in reality, we are actually wasting so much of energy. So to reduce this electricity, we require the green computing. So have an habit to switch off your fans and light when you are not utilizing the room. Next is create more toxic waste. Now, many of us are upgrading our computers, throwing our outdated computers, resources, peripherals, and hardware devices. These all are nothing but a toxic waste which we are generating, which are definitely damaging our environment. So, green computing is the concept where we can reduce this e-waste. Green computing is actually concerned with designing a better computer system. This computer system which provide the better processing power, which also provide us to using the resources with the less energy, and actually it increasing the overall life cycle of the product. Yes, when the product life cycle is very long, then definitely we can get the too much benefits. So this what about why we require the green computing? Carbon footprint. Now tell me, how many of you know what is carbon footprint? I guess many of you heard this word, right? So, according to World Health Organization, carbon footprint is the measure of the impact your activities have on the amount of CO2, that is carbon dioxide, produced through the burning of the fossil fuels. It is expressed as a weight of CO2 emission produced in tons. If I say in this simple word, then your carbon footprint is the total amount of the carbon dioxide you release to the environment by consuming energy. Even simple as when you are heating your house with the gas, oil, and coal. At that time, also you are generating the carbon dioxide to the environment. So, more the fuel you use, the better your footprint will be, or you can say the bigger your footprint will be. For example, by driving a car, what we think is the only carbon dioxide, only CO2 that we are releasing to the environment are consumed by our engine. It is coming from our engine. But in reality, it is not. The total set of carbon which are emitted are many more. Suppose just to get the fuel into the tank, we require the energy that are needed to extract the oil from the underground, to the pollution caused by your transportation, the pollution caused by the refinement, to the pollution caused by the final delivery of the oil to your local petrol pump station. So it's actually many more, right? Even how can we forget the manufacturing cars, means the company of the manufacturing cars, those who are producing such products. When the car is manufactured, there are a lot of CO2 is generated in the environment. So carbon footprint is not a small thing. It's actually a very big concept. Even simple, a basic apple. The purchase, we all are purchasing apples, right? The fruits and many vegetables and so on. So even purchasing a basic apple could have traveled the hundred of thousands of polluting miles to enter up to your local supermarket. So this is also generating the carbon footprint. In the morning also, when you are using your toothbrush, we all are habitual, right, to do the toothpaste using the toothpaste and toothbrush, right? So this toothpaste also causes the CO2 to the environment. Now you may thinking how? Obviously, the manufacturing companies which produces this kind of the products are generating CO2 to the environment, which are releasing so much carbon footprint. So you and everything you own has its own carbon footprint. So we cannot say that we can just stop this carbon footprint at a moment. It's actually not possible. But we can surely reduce this. How? For example, if I take this scenario, then you can use the public transportation. Means if you want to go at some common places, then you can use the bus and trains to go that places instead of drove the car. So at that time, the carbon footprint will be surely reduced. So these all are the basic things. Then just think how much carbon footprint is generated by our electronic devices. The research conducted in the late 2009 that Dell determined its own carbon footprint for the Latitude E6400 laptop. This is the particular Dell Latitude E6400 on which I'm talking about. This Dell Latitude E6400 determined its own carbon footprint, which is assessed in three regions, that is US, Europe, and China. Now, the research was actually conducted to compare the impacts that is caused by the different transportation methods and the energy mixes. So here you can see the Dell Latitude laptop is actually Energy Star 5.0 qualified and EPIC Gold register. It is a highly typical and business trim laptop. So you can see here in the US region, the total carbon footprint of the Latitude E6400 in the US region was approximately 350 kg CO2 equivalent. The same laptop consumed the CO2 in the Europe was actually 320 CO2 equivalent, whereas in China is approximately 370 kg CO2 equivalent. The result differed from the region to region, but not that much. Now, why this result is different if the product is the same? Because the result is different because of due to the variance in the GHG emission, that is greenhouse gas emission. Greenhouse gas including the gases like the carbon dioxide, methane, chlorofluorocarbon, and so on. So this result is actually differ because of the GHG emission from the different power generation mode of these three US region, that is US, Europe, and China. Now here you can see the transfer to customer. If we take into account this transportation of the customer, then you can see here, this is described in this light white type color, which is highly impacted in the US and Europe as compared to the China. Now you must be thinking, why is it so? Because in US and Europe, the transportation method they use is the air transport. So for delivering the Latitude E6400 Dell laptop in the US and Europe, they use the planes to deliver their product to the regional distribution center. Whereas in China, they use the truck transport. So the Dell laptop delivery in the China was actually delivered by the trucks to the regional distribution center. So you can see here, air transport is highly impacted than the truck transport because air transport is highly energy intensive. Another thing you can see is from the GHG emission, from the use phase. You can see here the uses. The use case are increasing in China. Still, the CO2 is not that much in China. Here, the manufacturing phase are roughly equal. But when we take into the recycling 75%, what does it mean? It is assuming that if we recycling the 75% of this laptop, then also it generates the 30 kg CO2 equivalent to the environment. Just think, guys, recycling 75%, 75% is not a small number, right? So 75% recycling product still it generates the 30 kg CO2 equivalent. Then just think if we are not thinking about recycling our equipment, then If we don't think about using the green computing concept, then what the future holds. So we have to think about reducing our e-waste, reducing our carbon footprint. The one example I gave is the public transportation. The another thing for reducing the carbon footprint is the using solar energy, wind energy. We can also using the renewable energy equipments. So these are the particular solutions for reducing our own carbon footprint. The next concept is the e-waste. E-waste refers to the electronic waste. E-waste is electronic products that are unwanted, not working, and nearing or to the end of their useful life. E-waste is actually refers to the products, or you can say it is refers to the disposal of the damaging or not working or unwanted electronic materials and equipments. E-waste is actually a rapid growing problem because nowadays most of the people are upgrading their mobile phones, their laptops, their audio equipments, printers, electrical equipments, and so on, most frequently than even before. Mostly, mobile phones and laptops are mostly causing problem because it is actually pose a threat to the human life and the environment as well, because we are often changing our mobile phones and laptop nowadays. So it is actually a big problem when it comes to the e-waste. Here some of the picture is there. You can see how much e-waste are generating. Disposal of these devices constituted 20 to 50 million tons per year. Can you imagine 20 to 50 million tons per year? Many people are not disposing their products properly, and that is definitely harming the humans and which has caused more damage to our environments. Now, what is the solution for this? What we can do? How we can reduce this e-waste? Because e-waste is actually a big problem and day by day it is increasing. So what to do? There is an option. We can reduce our e-waste by using reduce, reuse, and recycling. These are the 3 R's of the green IT. Don't confuse with the word green IT. Green IT is just another term for the green computing. So don't confuse with that. The 3 R's of the green IT are reduce, reuse, and recycling. What is the meaning of this reduce? The first line of defense to minimize your e-waste is to reduce. Reduce your new purchase of the electronic equipments and electronic devices. We are habitual. When there is a new upgrade in the market, we are going to do this. When there is a new devices are available in the market, we are desperately want to buy it. So have an habit to reduce your new purchase because it's not only good for the environment, but also it's good for our own wallet because we can save our money, right? If we take an example, then cell phone is the best example, especially our iPhone series, right? When the iPhone 11 Pro came to the market, people started buying that product. After then, iPhone 11 Pro Max came, and people desperately want to buy this product. Now, currently, you can say last launch product was the iPhone SE. Still, products want people are wanted to buy this product. Why? Can anyone tell me why you want this type of craze of purchasing the mobile phones? Means if your mobiles is accurately, you can work on it. You have the all functionalities whichever you want. Still, you are mad to use the new phones. Why? You can actually increasing the e-waste by doing this. You can actually waste your lots of money too. Can anyone tell me what is the normal functionality which is using in your daily lives, which you cannot do in your old equipments? If you are doing something in your iPhone 11 Pro, you are using your WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, and so on. You can't do this with this 11 Pro Max. You can do this, right? 11 iPhone 11 also provide the same functionality, but no, we just want the new products. Why? It's a one kind of craze, a fame to show to our friends that see, I buy this product. So please reduce your e-waste. Another example I can give is reducing the electricity. As I said earlier, when we are not using our rooms, just switch off the light and fans because when you are not utilizing the room, we are wasting the energy. So if you are saving the electricity, it is not also helpful for the environment, but also you can save the electricity for your future users. Next concept is the reuse. What is reuse? Reuse is just another way to reduce your e-waste. It's nothing but just redeploying your existing items to the new owner. For example, you can re-gift your laptop and mobile to your family member. or you can donate it to the school, charitable trust, or you can give it to the any community center. Another option you can do is you can sell or you can give away by using the services like the Gazelle and the Precycle. Reuse, have an habit to reuse your old equipments, especially your cell phones. If the display of your screen is damaged, you can say the screen, the display of your mobile is actually damaged, or you can say the charging socket is damaged. Then buying a new cell phone does not make a sense at all, right? You can just repair that particular parts of your cell phone and you can reuse it. So it's not just decreasing your e-waste, but also saving your money too. So have an habit to reuse your products. And the last is the recycling. Recycle. Every product has its own life cycle. Each and every electronic equipment has to go end. Means there is an actually time where the product is actually destroyed. At that time, by doing the green reusal, first go for the recycling. Recycling, why to go for the recycling? Because I guess you don't know, but your e-waste has the maximum valuable, you can say maximum valuable materials. So by using the recycling, you can recover this metal and materials, which is reusable in generating the another products. Do you know the US provide the 8,000 locations for the e-waste recycling? 8,000 over locations just for recycling e-waste. Why they are doing this? Because they know the value of recycling. They are actually know the value of what is this, what we can get by recycling our products. This is the 3 R's of the green IT, that is reduce, reuse, and recycle. We shall surely go and follow these 3 R's. So reduce your new purchases, reuse your old equipments, and when the product is actually damaged or destroyed, you can surely go for the recycling. Another concept, one of the most important concept of the green computing is greenwashing. How many of you know about the brainwash? We heard this term, right, in our daily lives. Brainwash kar diya. What is that? Brainwashing. To make someone believe in something by repeatedly telling them that this is actually true. And then the person is surely gonna believe it. That is brainwashing. Greenwashing is kinda similar to your brainwash. How it is different? Let's see that. Greenwashing is the practice of making an unsubstantiated or misleading claim about the environmental benefits of a product, service, technology, or company practice. Companies can unethically trick you into thinking their products are environmentally friendly when they are actually not. Greenwashing is when a company claims to be more eco-friendly, but these claims are also misleading and fake. Greenwashing means when a product gives the false impressions of being more eco-friendly when in reality is it actually not. How company can do this? Company can do this by using the false information, by using the different marketing tricks, and also by doing the straight up fraud. The term greenwashing is believed to have been coined in 1986 when environmentalist Jay Bostwelt observed the practice of hotels encouraging guests to help the environment. It was gave an impression that the hotel was actually putting an efforts to to ecologically more sound. But in reality was that the hotel actually had no other environmental positive policies and they just saved the massive amount of money on the laundry cost. Can you imagine? They can they saved lots of money on their laundry cost. And what people think that we are putting an efforts to save our environment. So when this kind of thing happened, that is clearly greenwashing. So when this incident happened in the past, that time the greenwashing concept was came to the picture. Some of the example of the greenwashing is mentioned here. The first one is the Poland Spring. The plastic water bottles like Poland Spring, Evian, and Deer Park, which use the nature on their label. This kind of plastic is actually the designed for one-time use only, and it is actually damaging our environment. But here you can see this one. They use this nature on their label, which has nothing to do with the environment. It's just misleading the consumers that they are buying an eco-friendly product. But in reality, it is actually a greenwashing. Second, the brands, Starbucks. We all are well aware about of this, right? Anyone is there who can say I'm not aware about this product? No one. Starbucks. In 2018, Starbucks wanted to jump on a trade where they use the concept like plastic bans, or you can use the yes, plastic bans. But instead of that, they come with the concept that is strawless lid. Here in the one first picture, you can see this is the plastic straw which is used by Starbucks, and they came up with the idea of using this is strawless lid. Now, what they were saying is they want to ban the plastic and they want just helping our environment. But in reality, this strawless lid consumes the more plastic than this old lid and the plastic. This straw and the old lid consumes less plastic than this strawless lid. So Starbucks did, which is actually a greenwashing. This is the latest concept of 2018. Next is the American multinational oil and gas corporation, ExxonMobil. ExxonMobil was indicating that they are decreasing the greenhouse gas emission to the environment. But in reality, it is actually they are increasing. So what idea they gave to the consumer is that by using our oil, you are just helping the environment. But in reality was they are just increasing more GHG to the environment. So these are the examples of the greenwashing. I hope now you understand what is greenwashing is. What are the types of greenwashing? There are many types. The company can trick us, right? The company can use many kind of tricks to just make consumer fools. And we are actually doing that by purchasing their product. First is imagery. This type of greenwashing is when advertisement or product label uses the nature, animals, leaves, or the color green around their products. Usually, these images are using the green message. So, you can say the imagery is nothing but actually gives the consumer a feeling that they are buying the green products or they are buying the eco-friendly products. But in reality, it's actually opposite of that. As I said in the last previous example, the plastic water bottle Poland Spring, which actually what uses, they are using the nature on their label. But in reality was that there is nothing to do with the environment. So what they do, they did this imagery greenwashing. Next is the clickbait. This type of greenwashing is straight up fraud. This is when the advertisement and labels say information that is completely untrue. Clickbait is a type of greenwashing which is misleading and full of lies. It means when a product uses the labels like with the tag like 100% recyclable, certified, then recyclable, organic. This type of the label, these are just the words and phrases used by the company just to click you bet into buying their products. And we are actually buying their products, which is completely wrong. This is a greenwashing. For example, the paper company, which is like Geo Paper Company. Geo Paper Company claims that they were using the 40% of the recyclable content in their product. But actually, in reality, they are not even using the 0% of the recyclable content into their paper. So what they did just a clickbait greenwashing. Next is the irrelevant claims. This type of greenwashing has companies grasping for the reusable straws to try to make them should even better, but their claim is actually irrelevant. If I give the example, you heard the CFC, right? The chlorofluorocarbon. CFC have been the outlawed due to its harmful impact to the ozone. So whenever any product or any company uses the tag like CFC free, then this is the irrelevant claims. They are claiming that their product is the CFC free, but there is a no chances that any product can be 100% CFC free. So if any product uses the tag of the CFC free, then this is also the clearly irrelevant claims of the greenwashing. The next one is the red herring. Companies will make one small part of their product eco-friendly and try to capitalize on it when the main product is environmentally destructive. This kind of greenwashing is actually frustrating. It can include the reusable plastic bottles or reusable water bottles. The process of making this product is actually destructive to the environment. Another way we can say when the product is not eco-friendly at all, but the packaging is recyclable. For example, the organic cigarettes, which uses the recyclable or you can say recyclable boxes. Organic cigarettes with using recyclable boxes are still bad for the environment. What you can do with the recyclable boxes if the cigarettes is actually harming the environment and the human? So when this kind of thing happens, that is definitely the red herring greenwashing. Next is the vagueness. This type of greenwashing makes the product sounds good to the consumer by using the green terminology. But the words are very vague and don't have a direct meaning used across the board. One of the greatest example of this is when using the environmental friendly or eco-friendly tag. This is actually the vague word which is used by the company because there are a lot of factors that are going with the environmental friendly. So when such company uses this kind of the tags, you have to think that this is the vagueness greenwashing. Another example or another vague words are you can say sustainable, non-toxic, biodegradable. This kind of label is also the very vague words which are nothing but just a greenwashing. Next thing, no receipt. This type of greenwashing has companies putting claims of their labels and advertisement that cannot be backed up or proved. The labels and advertisement can have claims that cannot be proved, and the company will not ready to. You can say company is not ready to verify it when they will ask. Then they are asking to them. This is actually a straight up fraud. The company will give the lots of excuses and they will try to cover it up anyhow. The company will say, for example, they will say that we cannot share this content due to our trade secrets. But that is not like that. When anyone questions about their labels and advertisement, they have to justify it. But when the company is not justifying it, they are not verifying it, then you have to think this is the no receipt greenwashing. For example, the SC Johnsons. SC Johnsons use their create their own certification, which is a green list certification, on their and place their certification on their products instead of verify their products by a third party. You have to remember whenever there is any certification is given to the products or the particular products labels, then you have to think that this particular certification is given by whom? It is a company itself who is giving certificate to oneself? No, right? That is always the independent third party and especially the authorized organization by the government. So when you are finding any kind of product which have a certification that is given by his own company, then this is nothing but the no receipt greenwash. So SC Johnson's is the good example for this kind of the greenwashing. The next is the bet and switch greenwash. This form of greenwashing is when a company creates a small product that is eco-friendly to draw customers into their store. After the initial bet, customers are then presented with the rest of the product line, which is full of products that are not environmentally friendly products. See, usually the product is actually eco-friendly. One of the product is eco-friendly, but that is actually overpriced. So they just actually consumer makes to force to buy the non-eco-friendly, you can say yes, non-eco-friendly versions of that product. For example, if I give an example of this, then the toilet company, which is which is using the recyclable papers. So they are actually providing the toilet papers which are actually recyclable. So this is actually eco-friendly. But this recyclable toilet paper are actually overpriced. But it still gave them a good, you can say, a good image to the world. And people are going to buy it because they are thinking that this is eco-friendly product. Once they are launching this product or once they are gaining the customers or baiting the customers, they will not generating any of the product or not producing any of the product which is eco-friendly. But customer, what they think is all their products or all the products belonging to their company is actually eco-friendly product because the company has a good value and you already set your mind that this is the eco-friendly product, this toilet paper is a eco-friendly product, so definitely other product of this company is also eco-friendly product, but it's actually not. Only that one product is the eco-friendly and the rest of the product is not eco-friendly at all. But what they do is just a bet and switch greenwashing. Now you know what is greenwashing and how many tricks are there by company can make us fool. So, but how to identify this greenwashing? How you can identify that whether I'm purchasing the product is a actually greenwash product or is actually an eco-friendly product? By using this some of the taglines. First is examine. Look for what company are claiming to be green. First of all, see what company is saying that what they are claiming to be green. It is a product, is it a package or a whole package? What is it? Package for they are saying that package is eco-friendly or the product is eco-friendly. Next is ask. Search for the proof. Does the website explain? If not, then directly contact them and ask. If they don't respond and just dancing around your questions, then you may found the greenwashing. Next is research. Research for the claims. If the companies are using the irrelevant claims, as I said, the CFC free claim, If they are using such kind of the claim, CFC free, then you can found the greenwashing. Next is look. Look for the facts, look for the certifications and seal of approval, and check whether it is given by the third party or not. Make sure to check that it is actually indeed a third party. After checking that which party provided this certification, just go to their website and check whether your product which you are going to buy is actually in their list. The company or organization which is providing the certificate actually mentioned this product in their list. If they mention, then you can surely go for buy this product. But if it is not, you have to understand that this is the greenwashing. Or if the company using his own green list certification, then also you can find that this is the greenwash product. Next is ignore. Ignore the imagery and other green marketing tactics. As I said, you are seeing the nature on their label and so on, or you are seeing any birds flying or any animals draws on their label, then you just think this is a greenwashing only. So always look for the labels and truth values, and you can see the labels and other another things which is actually helps you to find the greenwashing. Next is trust. Your intimations will never hurt you. Your intimations will always give you a red flag and also the signs which is actually not trustable. So you have to listen your own, see what your heart says. So think by your own, focus on this all the things and then buy the product. Question. It's a big thing. Question the whole product. What is the product? How is it made of? What is it made out of? Then also check that how it is supposed to be discarded. If you started asking the question for the product, you will get the answers automatically. Once you get the answers, you may examine that whether its product is a greenwashed or not. So these are the particular taglines you can use while you are going for buying any product. If you find once that this is the greenwash product, then don't waste your money on it. The another thing you can do is the hit up the FTC. FTC is nothing but the Federal Trade Commission. The greenwashing is actually regulated by this FTC. FTC is a government agency that helps the consumers to protecting, or you can say to protecting the consumer against the unethical and unlawful business practices. So when you hit up the FTC, when you find any of the product is greenwashed, you can hit up the FTC. FTC have their online chats, which you can determine. They will check these chats to see whether if any of the complaints is submitted by the customers. They will try to help you. But you have to remember that the FTC is fully overloaded with the complaints every year. And therefore, they take some time to give you response, and they need some time to take the actions on a particular product or the company. This what entirely greenwashing is. Green IT standards. Standards are the central role in modern information technology. These are some of the standards we can use which help us to guide our green decision making. What is this standard actually is? This is actually nothing but a certification program. You can say the particular agency or a particular program which provide the certificates to the product. Why we require this certification? This certification given to those products who are actually energy efficient and power saving products. So when you find this kind of the labels on any of the product, then you can surely buy that product. So you can just think that this product is the energy efficient and power saving product. The first one is the EPA Energy Star, the Environmental Protection Agency, which created the Energy Star. An Energy Star is a voluntary energy efficient certification program. This program covers the wide range of electrical devices such as home appliances, then cooling and heating systems, lighting and office equipment. The latest category which is included in this certification programs are desktop computers, laptop computers, printers, and power adapters. Energy Star standards for the computer emphasize power management, the ability of processors, disk drives, monitors to enter the low power mode even after a certain period of inactivity, and your internet connection must be not lost. You may not lose the internet connection when this kind of thing is happening. There are three different modes that is distinguished by this Energy Star. The first one is the sleep mode, standby, and idle mode. Sleep mode. In the sleep mode, the desktop computer must draw no more than 4 watts and minimum of the 2 watt for the certified laptop. In the standby mode, the desktop computer store no more than 2 watts and 1 watt for the certified laptop. And in the idle mode, most of the equipment power ranges from the 50 to 90 watts. So if you remember, I said the Dell laptop, which is actually Dell E6400 Latitude laptop is actually energy efficient, Energy Star product, which is 5.0 qualified. It simply means your Dell laptop E6400 consuming the 2 watt in the sleep mode, 1 watt at the standby mode, and it's consuming the another equipment power. They require the 50 to 19 watt. That your Dell laptop is satisfying this particular conditions. After then they get this particular certificate. Green IT standards, in which the next is the EPIT, the Electronic Product Environmental Assessment Tool. The EPIT is a program developed by the Green Electronic Councils. It is actually manufactured that let us manufacturers of the electronic equipment report how their products measure up against the set of 51 criteria. These are the different criteria. Based on this criteria, the EPIT provides the certification to their products. These criteria are mentioned in the IEEE 1680 and IEEE 1680.1 specifications. Out of this 51 criteria, the 23 criteria are the required criteria and the 28 criteria are the optional criteria. EPIT provides their certification based on these three types of the medals. The first is the gold, silver and bronze, these three more. If any product matches all the 23 required criteria plus at least 75% of the optional criteria, then that product will be EPIT Gold registered. If the product matches all 23 required criteria plus at least the 50% of the optional criteria, then the product is actually EPIT Silver registered. And if the product matches all 23 required criteria, just the required criteria, then the product will be EPIT Bronze registered. Your Dell Latitude E6400 is a gold registered, EPIT Gold registered. It simply means all 23 required criteria is satisfied as well as the 75% of the optional criteria is also satisfied by this product. So now you can think how much it is important to see when you're buying such product. So surely see these standards. Last one is the RoHS, the regulation of the hazardous substances. The European Union's RoHS restrict the certain dangerous substances commonly used in electronic and electronic equipment. RoHS compliant is tested for the presence of lead, cadmium, mercury, etc. See, RoHS compliant is nothing but a directive that ensures that when you're going to buy any product in the market, if it is RoHS compliant, it simply means that it is free of these hazardous substances. Means when you're buying any product and you are finding this label RoHS compliant certified, then you just have to think that this product is the free of these hazardous materials. Having this material, I am not saying this is the 100% free of the lead, cadmium or mercury. They have some of the percentage, 0.1% and all, they have some of the criteria. If the criteria is satisfied, then they will provide this RoHS compliant certification to the particular products. So these are the important standards. So surely check when you are going to buy any of the products in the market. So check whether it is a EPIT registered certification or it is a Energy Star efficient or the product is RoHS compliant. Just go and check it. Next concept we are going to see is the green computing approaches. There are actually many approaches, but due to our time limitation, I'm just taking these three. The first is the hardware development. Next is software development, and the last is the power management. Hardware development. Development of hardware that requires the less power is one of the most commonly used approaches for the green computing. Obviously, if the hardware requires the less power, then it will consuming the less energy. If it consuming the less energy means we are saving the electricity. And if we are saving the electricity, it simply means we are helping our environment, right? So we are helping our environment to become more green. So engineers from the everywhere are just focusing on designing the new hardware system that are actually consuming the less power. Special screen, special processing units, and even devices run on the solar power are being developed. I take the example of this CRT, LCD, and LED monitor. CRT, it is a cathode ray tube, LCD, which is liquid crystal display, and LED is the light emitting diode. Here you can see the CRT, the power requirement of the CRT is highest than the LCD and LED. CRT actually requires the 420 watts, whereas LCD requires the 300 watts power and LED requires the 290 watt power. So what you learn by this? We can go for LCD, right, or LED. Instead of prefer the CRT monitor, you can surely go for the LCD or LED monitor. Another example, if I give, that is your computers. We can prefer the laptop computer rather than the desktop computer. Why so? Because desktop computer contains the more peripherals as compared to your laptop computer. Another benefit you can get is you can use your laptop anytime at anywhere. So it is also comfortable. So with this benefit, you can prefer the desktop computer. Desktop computer actually requires the less energy rather than your, sorry, laptop computer can require the less energy than the desktop computer. So two things you have to remember is go for the LCD rather than CRT and go for the laptop computer rather than the desktop computer. Software development. People have decided to reduce on the power usage by computers through the virtualization. Virtualization is a rapid growing area or rapid growing concept in the modern IT. Most of the data center is nowadays using this concept of the virtualization. Why we are using virtualization? For the energy efficiency and cost reduction as well. Virtualization means to create the virtual version of a device or resources such as server, storage device, network, or operating system where the framework divides the resources into one or more execution environments. What do you think? What is virtualization? As its name implies, virtual. It means virtually it is present on your system and logically it is not that. But virtualization means writing the program as a piece of software which does the exactly same thing as your hardware. Even partitioning a hard drive is considered as a virtualization because you take a one drive and partition it to the two separate drives. So this is virtualization. Human devices and applications are able to interact with these virtual resources as if it were a real single logical resources. Now you must be thinking, what is the effect of this virtualization in the green computing? The USDA uses the virtualization concept to consolidate the 255 servers into just 22 servers only. 255 servers is actually a very big number and just 22 servers. 4 years ago, the Los Alamos National Laboratories undertook the virtualization project in which they decommissioned the 100 servers, which resulted in usage of the 13 servers only. 100 server, just usage of the 13 server, which gave a result of saving the $1.5 million. $1.5 million is actually a big amount. If you convert it into rupees, then 50 to 70% energy can be saved from the virtualization. It's not just the 10 or 20 ratio, 50 to 70%. So now you have a clear idea why we shall go for the virtualization, because it is saving lots of energy and it's saving the space also, right? 100 servers and 13 servers. You require the less space. And also your cost of environment, you can say the organizational cost will be less. So people, we are most looking for the virtualization. Virtualization is a big concept when it comes to the green computing. Last is the power management. How computer users contribute to the green IT. Here are some of the basic guidelines for that, which is actually very basic. But if we do this, we can surely reduce the energy. First is the turn off the monitor. Turn off the monitor when not in use will helps to reduce the energy. Many times we have an habit. We are working on our desktop and laptop computers, and we need the 5 minutes break, or at that time we have some other little work to do, and we are putting our system as it is. Instead of that, just turn off your monitor because you are wasting the energy. Next is turning down the brightness. Turning down the brightness option on the computer will actually decreasing the amount of, wait for just 2 minutes. I require the battery. Sorry for the inconvenience. Turning down the brightness. Turning down the brightness option on your computer will actually decreasing the amount of energy used by your monitor. Next is avoid using screensaver. Many times you heard that people are saying don't use the screensavers. But why? Actually, avoid using the screensavers is actually helps us. How? Because actually rather than decreasing the amount of usage by the monitor, it actually uses the monitor with the full capacity. It's actually true. Your screensavers actually using your monitor with the full capacity. So avoid using your screensavers. Next option is turn it off or shut down. If you want to work, you just work. But if you don't want to work, then have an habit to turn it off or shut down your laptop or PCs. Because when the system is on, the energy is wasted. Do you know the computer is designed to handle the 40,000 on and off cycles, which is by using, if you are doing the shutdown or turn it off option, you are not just reducing the energy. You are not only reducing the energy, but also lowering the heat stress. So whenever you are not using the system, just have an habit to turn it off. Configure the power setting. Learn to configure the power setting for the optimal power usage. Instructions on how to do this is included in the booklet, or you can also find it on the Green IT website. Use sleep or the hibernate mode. These both mode are actually power saving mode, but the difference between them is that the sleep mode cut off the power of the display, hard drive and other peripherals. So before using the sleep mode, you have to save your works, because if you don't save your files, you may lose it. On the other side, the hibernate mode means the computer will be idle for the extended period of time. Anyone has any question? Okay. Use the sleep or hibernate mode. The hibernate mode means computer will be idle for the extended period of time. So it will save your energy and work by copying your data to the reserving area of the hard drive and then completely turn off your computer. So when you power back on, your data will be displayed on your screen, or you can say the data will be appear on your screen as just you left them. I will show you how to do this. My screen is visible to the all. Everyone is able? Okay, thank you. See here, in the start all programs, go for the power options. Here it came. See, power options. Here you are having power 7. Actually in your laptop, if you check it, this balance is actually selected automatically. So go to this power saver. After selecting the power saver, just go to the change plan setting. Here you are having an option, the on battery and whether it is a plug-in. It simply means when you are using your laptop on a battery and when you are using with a charger, when you plugged in your charger. So here first option is you can see the dim the display. Dim the display means you can dim your display at what time. If you want on a battery, when you are working with a battery, at what time you want. If I set it for the 3 minutes and plugged in, either I did it never. Turn off the display. If you want to turn off your display, then you can also set the time. Here you can say from 1 minute to the 5 hours and to never options is there provided. So you can also select this turn off the display minimum for the 5 minutes. And here when plugged in, at what time you want, it is already set it for the 10 minutes. Put the computer to sleep at what time you want to your computer on a sleep mode. That is you can select on the 10 minutes, or here it is on the 10 minutes as well. You can see here adjust plan for the brightness. If I am selecting this, see here, I am increasing this.